In today's Coaster Countdown, we're looking at the top 8 B&M wing coasters in the world. And the reason it's the top 8 is because there are not currently 10 wing coasters operating in the entire world. We have one under construction in China, but it is not yet open. And so this countdown is for only the operating B&M wing coasters. Not to be confused with other wing coasters, like Furious Baco, Skyrush. Some could argue the X2 is a wing coaster, but those are not manufactured by B&M, so these are all the same type of ride. The coasters that are ranked higher are going to be ranked higher based off of the ride's layout, the ride elements, and which gives a more forceful ride. And I think there'll definitely be some arguing in this countdown. With some of these rides, you could easily switch around their positions. None of these are bad coasters, but it is kind of hard to figure out which one is better than the other. So let's start things off with our number 8 wing coaster, the Parrot coaster, formerly Flying Over the Rainforest. This is a Chinese wing coaster. It features 3 inversions. It dives in and out of a couple of tunnels, and unlike some of the others, this does not feature a wing over drop. This isn't a bad ride, it's just that it isn't as good as some of the others. Number 7 is Wild Eagle at Dollywood. This was the first wing coaster in the US. And like Parrot Coaster, it doesn't have a wing over drop as well. You go through 4 inversions, and unlike the other wing coasters, this one does not have a near miss element. Now you could argue that the trees operate as a near miss element, but I'm not sure I agree with that. Like many of the wing coasters, if you sit towards the back, you're going to get a more forceful ride experience than the front. And this is one of the wing coasters on this list that I've actually ridden, because I have not ridden every one of these rides on this list because they are scattered throughout the world. But having ridden this one, I can say Wild Eagle did leave much to be desired. Number 6 is Raptor at Gardo Land. Like the previous 2, this one also does not have a wing over drop. However, it does include near-miss elements, plus the theming is pretty cool. You got 3 inversions, a top speed of 56 miles per hour, a height of 108 feet, and all in all, it is a pretty solid ride. Taking 5th is Flug der Dämonen. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that, but in English it means Flight of the Demon. This is at Heidi Park, and this ride just has a cool layout. This has a demonic knot in it, the first one of its kind in the world. It's basically a sideways dive loop and Immelman right next to each other, and it's pretty neat. Plus, like Raptor, the trains are insanely cool. And in terms of a wing rider, this basically has the full package. Taking 4th is Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper currently holds the record for the tallest, longest, and fastest wing coaster in the world. Some do argue that Wild Eagle is taller because of the terrain, but officially, Gatekeeper holds the record. Now, there are several cool things about this ride. You got a sweet wing over drop, multiple inversions, those keyhole elements are awesome, and it gives a long ride experience. On the downside, it is pretty forceless. Of course, if you sit in the back, then you probably will get a more forceful experience than the front, but all in all, it is a pretty solid ride. Taking 3rd is the Swarm. The theming with this coaster is absolutely nuts. The trains are so cool. You have that apocalyptic theme. And what Thor Park has actually done is they have reversed 2 of the rows on this coaster so you can ride it backwards. The only downside is that it is pretty short compared to some of these others. The ride experience isn't as long. I've heard many people who have ridden this say that it's a really cool roller coaster, so that is why it is taking 3rd. Coming in at number 2 is X-Flight at Six Flags Great America. This ride doesn't have as cool of a theme as some of these others, but you do have this really cool tower that acts as a near-miss element for X-Flight, and with a total of 5 inversions and a solid ride time, I'm considering this one of the best wing coasters ever created. Again, there'll probably be lots of arguing with this video, but I've placed X-Flight at number 2. So what's coming at number 1? The latest wing coaster, Thunderbird. This is at Holiday World, and it is the world's first launch wing coaster, and really the first launch by B&M. Incredible Hulk doesn't really count because it has a tire launch, and though it doesn't have a wing over drop, Thunderbird makes up for it with everything else. It has a cool theme, it's got near miss elements, you've got solid inversions, plus it's forceful. Everyone I know that's ridden Thunderbird says it is an awesome ride, and that is why I am considering it the number 1 wing coaster in the world. So post your comments below about which wing coaster you like the best, how many have you ridden, and which ones do you prefer? Do you agree with this list? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys next time here at Coaster Studios.